Welcome to Conversations and Coffee, where we have conversations that are authentic, lighthearted, and purposeful. Our conversations will be engaging. You will hear from industry experts that will have you saying, "Whoa, wow, I didn't know that." Join us because it's all about you, your loved ones, and anyone who want to stay informed and, of course, living your best life. So as we move on, Linda, let's talk about now you have had the conversation with the family and they are all in based on the information you have given them. They have chosen, okay, this is where I want mom, dad to now reside or transition to. But you know, that senior loved one, when you start to have that conversation with them, the stigma associated with transitional care is still lingering in their with them. It's not something that they're saying, yeah, let's go. They're not saying that. How do you convince a family that is on the fence that this is the care that they need? And when you convince them, what are the next steps?
Thank you. Another couple that comes to my mind that I'm working with now up until very much this morning. Mom has advanced dementia. They live in a wonderful, beautiful home. The father, who is the main caregiver, is got cardiac disease. Mm-hmm. They are noticing a decline, not only in mom, who refuses to go to the doctor for the last 2 years, because guess what? She's in denial herself. Mm-hmm. The conversation I had, and lucky enough, it's a son who's a professor, so he's a brilliant, brilliant man, sees that it's out of their control at this point. But what we had conversations about with this morning with coffee is this is not a sentence. Let's just try it out. You know, keep that home. If we can afford to do that, try it for a couple of months and see how it goes. When they hear they have a way out, Dr. Joy, it makes it a little bit different because it's not like, okay, put a lock on the door and I am now going away to jail, really and truly, you know, take me out with ball and chains and be done with it. Giving them that kind of confidence and knowing they could make another choice later on kind of softens it. But at the same time, I'm going to say they're going to love it. They're going to love it because guess what? They're getting a lot of attention. They're going to pair them off with appropriate ambassadors to that facility. Mm-hmm. Guess what? We don't have to figure out about cooking and going shopping. Oh my God, cleaning. I don't have to do that anymore. Be involved in the activities is going to be so getting transportation, going to activities, going to the doctor, whatever that it may be. So when I tell the families, when mom and dad put the skids on it, that's when you, as their POA and their healthcare surrogate, not have to show your badge, but this is when you say, Mom, this is why you elected me to be your power of attorney and healthcare surrogate. I've had these discussions with your physician. We have a professional here that's explaining as well. We need for you to do this, even if it's just temporary, because to really figure out what we really need to do for the rest of our lives together. Yes. And it kind of softens it as well too. And I hate to say use that trump card, the POA, but when you're elected to be that, you have to take that very seriously.
You do. I've been in that position before, being the POA. I'm the oldest, yes. And I had to make some decisions and I just had to do it. Yeah.
Exactly. And, is it a role reversal, Dr. Joy? Absolutely. I've had it from my own mom. Is like, I'm sure you probably heard it as well with your loved ones. You think you're the mom now. And you know how I just word that I don't want to ever degrade her existence or her power in the family is, Mom, guess what? Every day I'm learning from Lauren and Trevor. which is my 32. I don't know how she turned 32, and 26-year-old son. I mean, there is gaps of me learning technology, things of learning how to do today. And I have to seek out their help on a regular basis. So, needless to say, it's the circle of life. And if you explain that to your loved one, it kind of eases it as well too. I sort out my daughter all the time. She's a clinician. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? My son is the technology whiz. And how do I want to say, it's a go-to every day.
Yes.
For them, knowing that they're there.
So many families or so many children of seniors, they feel either scared or they feel like, oh my gosh, now it's reverse and I have to tell my mom or dad what to do. And I don't want to do that. Yeah.
Correct. And honestly, I'm going to point out the elephant in the room. Some might have different agendas. Okay. I had to be as the impartial person to tell a family member when everybody was very much that this is what's good for mom and dad, that this one was pulling back. And I knew it was about an inheritance. I knew it. So I had to be bold and take that person out of the situation and have a conversation. That is why mom and dad, when they were in their right mind, selected your sister to be the power of attorney for their overall quality of life.
Yes.
What you're talking about is totally different. And this is going against their original wishes.
Yes. And sometimes we have to do that. I had to kind of have those conversations too. I speak more to families about trying to get them to go from either they have gotten to a different level of care within home care that we do, and now they have to move to another type of care. And then they bring in all of those dynamics. So you have to have those hard conversations with them. And so that is another reason we brought Conversations in Coffee, because now we can have conversations with you and your family and you don't have to be right there person to person, but you're actually hearing, this is what you need to do.
Yes. And let's pull upon the professionals in the community, elder law attorneys, a lot of people say, oh, we use a family law. Not anything against that. Elder law attorneys specialize in elder law products and services. May it be Medicaid planning for the future, for cost wise. But, that's why sometimes I recommend for a short period of time is even having doctors come into the home, a mobile physician group. Why? I'm not going to say this very gently, but when you go to the doctor's office, you're only there for 15 minutes and you're on your best behavior.
Of course you are. Oh my gosh. The conversations we've had with seniors and those families, they're on their best behavior. And you're like,
they're like going to the principal's office. And it's nothing against that doctor that might have been serving this patient for 30 years, but there's only a captive window of what's going on. That's why in-home care is essential and home health is essential, because we're the eyes and the ears for the doctor as well. But at the same token is they don't know what we do. Okay, so they don't know what in-home care, meaning the physicians, or home health, or what assisted living is all about. I've told many clients that when they, maybe bring their wife who is exhibiting awful behavior at home, to keep a journal. When somebody has got dementia, every day is different. It's sometimes the mornings are good and sometimes the nights are good. So it's depending on their disease process.
We have an episode coming up about Tammy Anastasia. She is a dementia caregiver consultant, and she really explains that. So yes, 1 minute they're this way, next minute she says, keep a journal. So you said the right thing.
It keeps you sane. But this is something that you could bring to the doctor's office when you do have that 15-minute visit, or send it the day before, put it in the mail, whatever that, so she could observe what's going on. And it gives them enlightenment as to knowing what's going on with their patient. Maybe it's diet, maybe it's the medications that's not working too well. But if you keep a journal, like I said, each day is different, but it's also therapeutic of you as the caregiver to do that. That's, again, it takes a village, Dr. Joy. This is not an easy process, and we want to use as much professionals as possible. Going through even just my mother's home, and I found my baby clothes, her baby grandmother's baby clothes, who would have been 138 now. It was like, what are we saving this for? Yes, it was memories, but you know what? Some of it we dispersed to the family. Some of the family doesn't want it anymore.
Yeah.
We have wonderful, what they call downsizing companies. There's only a certain amount of china that you need where. So, maybe selling it as well. I have a lot of downsizing companies. I work with specific real estate agents that are senior advocates as well, because we're just not going to just sell your house and put for sale sign on the front lawn. It's really because it's a tender process. They have to be trained in that as well.
Yeah.
And that downsizing company is one. I worked with one up in Jacksonville and Tampa, all over, and they're wonderful because guess what? They're part of the decision making about giving this stuff away.
Yes.
But maybe it's changing your insurance. I work with insurance agents because health insurance limits you, or it could be a wide open cavity. So it's a village.
Yes.
It's everybody involved in making this a right transition.
Very much so. Very much so. And I'm so glad that you said it's a village.
Yes.
It truly is a village. And that is what, again, that's why we're here telling our seniors, telling our eavesdroppers today that you need this village in order to help your senior loved one and in order to help you make the right decision for them. So we know that most seniors want to live their best life. And I call it living your life like it's golden. And when I say that, especially when I'm talking to our families and to our seniors, they think that is so funny. But I'm truly saying, I want you to live your life like it's golden. And in order to do that, we need to make sure you got the right care and the right companion or the right daily activities of living, whatever's going on with you. We want to make sure that you are living your life like it's golden. So as you are still having those conversations and trying to decide where they're going to go, I want you to think about senior living communities where you're kind of aging in place. Is that popular as far as when they're trying to decide where they are going to go, if they're at the beginning stages of their care or living their life like it's golden?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Joy. When I sit down with them, maybe themselves, my husband and wife, or just the lady that's left behind, I tell them, yes, it's scary, but do you want to look back on yesterday as being a delightful day and look forward for what tomorrow brings? And most of them say yes. I said, right now, what are you looking forward to? I don't know, maybe a visitor, or maybe, maybe my grandkids are coming. Okay, that's great. But this year, you should be looking forward to something every day, thanking God that you have another day, but more importantly, to look forward to the next day. So when I tell them, as you age and you're not able to do, when you go to a senior living community, we want to be able to age in place. We're not going to move again. When it's tender, when you're at that tender part of needing more care, it might be going down the hallway to another cottage area, or another, wing, so to speak, or another floor. You're still in the same capacities of where you are. We're just moving furniture. That's it. It's not another whole environment to get used to. So aging in place is essential. Affordability has to come into play as well too, and access of in and out. I want to say that is something that visitors should be welcome. Now that COVID is, a lightening up, visitation is important. Some facilities will allow you to stay overnight for a couple of days in their apartment, and partake in their daily routine meals and included. When they hear that they can now be the person to be now a host in their home, it's different, because don't forget, that's what they had at home. So I'm a steadfast on licensure in these facilities, because, once you're diabetic here, you're not on insulin, it inevitably might go here. So if you're in a facility that doesn't have the proper license now, you can't grow into that building or that community when now you're going to have more of a need. So that's what I explained to them is, with our disease processes, they grow. So licensure should be in place. And again, nothing is forever. It might be to the point that you want to move near your son or your daughter, and we'll be able to do that. I work with moving company, the whole thing. So we can do all that. But I also, maybe it's, from where I'm from, I'm very much about getting the best opportunity, meaning deal incentives for my clients. If I know that I could postpone some move in, rates dispersed over a couple of months, or what's going on this month? I'm going to be doing that for you, because I want you to have that financial benefit as well too. But those 4 pillars are something that I adhere to, no matter where or what we do.
Yes. And I am a big advocate of senior living communities. I really, really love that model where they're aging in place. And like I tell my families, I tell them, I say, when your family member move into a senior living community, it's like they're on vacation every day. It's like a resort. Especially if you get the right one. Again, it's still choosing that right one. Is doing your research, being coming to you as a consultant, saying which senior living community you think would be good for my family member. All of those things. And once those decisions are made and they actually move into that senior living community, and usually they'll bring us, never left alone with them, because they're in independent living, and we're there with them, and they're living their life like it's golden. They're swimming, they're going to the movie theater, they are going to dining. It's a big difference that you see on that family member face when they say, wow, Joy, my mom is having a great time, and I thank you, for that.
Yes, they're thriving. And, it's the reason to get up the next day. It's great when you said vacation. I call it a stationary cruise ship. I mean, there's different dining rooms, there's different activities to pick from. Not having to make your bed, do the laundry each day, worry about maintenance on their home or anything of that nature, and being treated like a lady and a gentleman, and breaking bread, that meals. Unfortunately, when you live alone, it's easy just to get a frozen meal out of the freezer and having that, because you know what? You don't want to go through the process of cooking or anything of, or not eating nutritional items either. But breaking bread with others, it's a very special time. So meals are looked upon totally different when you're around other people. It's actually wonderful because there's joy. You'll hear laughter. You'll hear all these conversations going on in the dining rooms, and it's a lot of fun, And what is childish? I mean, I've seen so many, when there's luau's and we just had a prom, because it's prom time in high schools. We had a senior prom.
Yes.
The joy and the fun that they're having, and it doesn't require any substances, meaning
Yes.
there's happy hour, as well as these facilities, but you're in a safe environment. So all these things you can partake in, it's something to look forward to the very next day.
Yes, because when I go out and make my rounds in the field, checking on our caregivers and doing those types of things with them. And when I go to these senior living communities, and I always go in when I go there, I go in all colorful because I'm just a colorful person, and I have my tennis shoes on and all of that. And when I am there, I'm having fun with them. I'm like, wow, this is great.
Yes. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The TV show, The Golden Girls, it's a little different, but didn't they enjoy life? It really was something that it was joyful. They were doing things, and there was, yes, it was in a home setting, but I think it was in a retirement village. But they had fun, and it should not be looked upon as being put away.
Yes, very much so. So one other question, as we are continuing to talk about seniors living their best life, their golden life. When you are with the families and now they're getting ready to say, this is where I want to go, do you tour with the families as they go to these different communities, or how does that process work? So if someone wanted to use golden, your placement service, or use another one wherever they are, what is the expectation?
First of all, my services are free to the client, and people are like, how do you work for free? And I'm very transparent. I get reimbursed by a commission by the senior living community that you pick upon. I do have what they call contracts with many facilities, but I'm very selective. In my area, to give you an idea, there's 9 brick and mortar buildings, and I only work with 3.
Okay.
Now, people find that alarming. It's because I know the presence of those communities. I know the turnover, if there's outcomes and all. So I always say, and that's the golden rule, is if I can't place my mother and father there, I'm certainly not going to be recommending it. So it's with deep research, not only of their medical or their operating, or if there's deficiencies in the building, it is also to make sure they're medically equipped to take care of somebody, especially having you guys on board too. The in-home care is an added touch, added service. But at the same time is that I got to make sure that they're going to age in place. And that license is going to be something that's intact. So what we do is I present, usually by budgets, by licensure, by what they have to offer, is I usually present about 10. And we do an email process in the very beginning stages. I rather them be in the comforts of their living room and go through. We have a lot of virtual tours, see the ambiance. I tell them how it's rated. I give all the dynamics. Each one is separate. I do multiple emails, so we know option 1 through option 10. I silo it down once we get down to about 3, and that's when we do the tours. I set up the tours. I go with, because you know what? Our time is valuable, just as their time. So if I'm coming at 11 o'clock, I want undivided attention.
Yes.
That sales director and executive director to introduce her or himself to us. Meet the director of nursing. Everybody knows we're coming. Everybody knows what this person's needs are and what we're looking for. Everybody knows the budget. So there's no guessing at this. Going blind.
I like that. But I don't want to stop you mid-sentence, but I want to ask this. So with the family, and you're getting ready to do this tour, you've already given that information to the senior living community, so they are well aware, and then they can really customize, because I do that with our in-home care. We customize your service.
Yes.
So, oh, I love that.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
continue.
say it's an enigma. It's kind of anonymous. I'll just say Frank S, so then they know that we're coming. And then, when we get there, if that's the choice of, what they want to do, of course, then we'll announce his last name. But this way they know how they could bring those people to meet. Dietary, we might be doing it over lunch to present a proper menu to them, but show them the proper activities, the proper environment for them to look at. Because nobody wants to say, oh, I want to go in the memory ward or the memory wing. We're not going to show them the other parts of that because we don't want them to be disillusioned also.
Yes.
So a profile is necessary. Unlike other companies that are out there, I'm not saying anybody in particular, all they get from you is a telephone number and an email number and the prospective resident to be. And then they do an email blast to all those assisted livings or senior living communities in the area. And then you're bombarded with all these emails, phone calls. Nope. I make it anonymous. I go out to them, seek out the information, and then I'm presenting it to you. I don't want you to be badgered. But phone calls, they'll call you all different days and times and whatnot. I'm not a lead-based business. I'm personalized. And thank you for saying customized, because amen, Dr. Joy. I agree.
Yes, I'm the same way. I always tell our families as they are trying to get the services that we have, I say, I can customize something for you. I am not just cookie cutter. We are definitely customizing to fit your needs, to fit your needs, because that is so important. Because once you do that, the buy-in is there. It is.
The attention to them is totally different because they know them already. And not everybody's alike. We might look like each other from our exterior, but what's in here is totally different. Our hearts and souls are different, and our makeup is different. Our history is different. So if you treat everybody idealistic and alike just by a name and by a code number, no, that's not the way to do it.
Yes. Oh, I love this conversation. And you are reminding me so much of myself, because I am all about that personalization, customizing what is important, and just those pillars of need. I love that. The pillars of need. Love it. Thank you. Okay, so you really have answered a lot of our questions as we've gone down this list of questions that I do have. But I do want to say, I wanted to ask, so say they decide, okay, this is the community, then what do you discuss prior to going what the average cost of the community is with those clients in order to ensure that they say, oh, I love this, but then they like, oh, I can't afford that?
Amen. I really talk about that firsthand.
Okay.
What is your budget that you could afford? Because I am not going to show you a Cadillac. Like, I want a Lexus. I want a Volkswagen. These days the Volkswagens are up there in price too. But because you don't want anybody to feel inferior by that, or like something that they can't afford. It's like going to a candy shop and say you can't have that. That. And how would that be on? That's going against their dignity as well too, and their pride. So we consider that very much in the beginning, and I let the assisted living arrange. I don't tell them exactly what they can afford because I want deals for my clients. Hey, give me a month free, get whatever that it is. They know I'm coming, trust me. And they know what's going to come out of my mouth and ask. But because I want them that they can say themselves. What comes to my mind when you had asked upon that, there's a assisted living that I work with, and the sales director says, hey, you know what? If they could live here just for a year with their money, let it be. I can't be like that. I'm sorry, Joy, Dr. Joy. It's no. If they only could live there a year and then they have to transition to maybe a lower, their low income reputation. Oh my God, I just lost my dignity and my
Mhm.
integrity. So no, we age in place with affordability and medical as well too. So
Yes, yes, very much so. Thank you for that. Um, and after everything is said and done, they've chosen the right transitional care for them. What's your follow up with those families?
oh, I'm so glad you asked that. They're my babies. I told them in the very beginning because now that COVID's over, I could go back to hugging. I'm so oh, that was so difficult for me before. And you can't see facial expressions behind a mask as well. But my follow-up detail is very much so. And it's not only with the facility, but I go and visit them. How are things working out? Some of them explain to me, like, oh, I didn't want to ask for that. No, you're empowered. You can ask for that.
Mhm.
You have every right to ask for this. Or, I don't like waking up this early for breakfast. Remember what I told you? You don't have to. You
Yes.
can go down at 10 o'clock. It's open dining for whatever.
Uh-huh.
So I reiterate that as well too. And same thing with the family. Maybe they might be out of state, but I also say in the very beginning stages, let them get acclimated. Go visit once a week.
Mhm.
Let them grow into it. Because once they keep seeing you, they're going to weigh on you and say, "Get me out of here," kind of a thing. Let them get accustomed to it. I visit. Oh my God! I just visited somebody that was a year and a half placed. He's thriving immensely. His daughter was in town. I was so excited from Arizona. So we got to party with dad as well too. But my follow-up is constantly. I visit them in person. I also follow up with their medical providers too. How are they doing? So
Mhm.
it's not only hearing it from them themselves, the family, the ALF, the assisted living or senior living community. I follow with their medical. I follow up with their home health, their in-home care. How is it trend? How are they really transitioning that you see them on a daily basis? So
Yeah.
once, all that, those people in the village, it's going to
Mhm.
work. If everybody is following through what we, how do I say, presented them. And
Yes.
if one of us, puts the anchor in and doesn't do any of that, that makes the ship go like this, right?
Yes.
So everybody has to partake in and be very communicative.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't care how long they're there. It still takes a whole village.
Yes, I love that follow-up. I'm the same way. I have to have some type of follow-up, constant. As long as you have our services, I am constantly following up, updating, and
Yes.
making sure that the care that you do have is the best care for your loved one. So super, thank you. So at the end of the day, Linda, how do you feel about what you have accomplished with the families that you serve?
Yeah, I think we're very much the same, Dr. Joy, and that's how we click very well. Um, I love what I do because I do what I love.
Yes.
It's not a job. I think it's a mission,
Mhm.
especially we're advocates. And having somebody being part of their journey to their next chapter is very rewarding.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean sometimes it doesn't end up in senior living, but I was part of their um, golden years.
Yes.
That to me it is rewarding in itself. Or when I go and visit, maybe after a year, they still remember me by name. They're hugging me. They're happy. Can you come back tomorrow? Can we have lunch? It's an honor and privilege. It is our most precious generation. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are.
Yeah.
And today we lack, I want to say the generations even after us, Dr. Joy, the respect has kind of diminished and
Yes.
we forget our forefathers. And if everybody goes, that part of their day is paying it forward just a little bit, the world
Mhm.
would be a better place. It really would.
Oh, heart for you because I just feel like this conversation today, oh my goodness, it just makes me feel so warm inside and knowing that you have helped someone out there listening today. And you said you do it because you care, because it's something that you love to do. Because I think when you love to do it, you'll do it for free. And you will continue to follow up with that. So I thank you so much for that. Yes. So I love to ask, we're coming to the end, and I love to ask my guests the same type of summation questions, just to have some fun.
Oh, sure.
Your answers are more personal than they are professional. So what I want you to do is to try to think of a word that pops up in your mind. And I normally call it 10-second thoughts to sum it up. Maybe less, but I give you 10 seconds to sum up our conversation today. So the first one is, today you are
happy.
I'm so glad that you are, because I am happy to have you here. It was very rewarding for me. Our conversation was
enriching.
Yes, it was. I learned so much from you. I did. Coffee, which I still have just a little bit left. Coffee
necessary.
Necessary. You are right. It is necessary to start today. It is necessary throughout the day.
Amen.
Very necessary. Now you can repeat the saying as I say it, and then you just fill in the blank. I love.
My God.
When I laugh
hard.
Yes, I do. And I truly love my God. You're right. I am really
blessed.
Yeah, I can see that. I really can. My personality is
I was told gregarious.
I can see that. So in your bio, you spoke about the love that you have for your family. So repeat what I say and answer this. My family
is everything.
It is. It is. I love what I do because
it's an honor.
It is. It is. Thank you so much, Linda, for coming on Conversations and Coffee and just being a part of the conversation. It is always a great experience when we can learn more to help us live our best lives. My hope is that our eavesdroppers today have learned a lot through your knowledge. So one more thing that I want to do for our eavesdroppers, and this is for you eavesdroppers. You know that I'm a conversationalist by heart and I'm an educator by trade. So I want to keep the conversation going down in the comments. So let's continue this conversation. And we are ready to tackle questions and comments about transitional care in the comments below. Keep eavesdropping, especially when you are learning a lot and taking in a lot of knowledge. And I will see you the next time on Conversations and Coffee with Dr. Joy.